formerly beloved developer of Halo and Destiny, makes a new game called Marathon. Oh my gosh, it's got a release date now. I didn't know about this. September 23rd. Get hype. Get hype for Marathon. Now, I don't think Marathon is going to be very good or well received. I think Marathon could work. It could have worked, but the problem is, in order to spend 40 bucks on something that looks like this, you need a lot of trust. Bungie's asking for a lot of trust from you that I don't think that most people have. I think all the trust that they developed in the Halo series was pissed away during the last 5-ish years of Destiny 2, and that in conjunction with a disastrous lecture at some game development conference that this guy made. I'll link it below if you really want to watch it. I just don't think the trust is there with Bungie to make Marathon good or worth any money. But that's not even the controversy. Apparently, Bungie stole some people's artwork. Yes, and this generic looking extraction shooter that I don't know who this is for. I don't know what they're thinking with this, but a lot of the artwork in the game was stolen. I'm not brushed up on all the details, but the artist did prove that the guy stole artwork, and they had a Twitch stream where the guy was just really sad looking on stream as he's reading the chat, just spamming about how they stole artwork. And this isn't even the first time Bungie has done this. This isn't even the first time they've stolen artwork. So yes, now Bungie is in the line of fire again. I think their legal team is probably not having a good couple of weeks, and I don't know if Marathon is gonna do very well. But that's not the title of the video. Nope, that's not what this video is about. Let's see what the Steam forums have to say about it. Midnight Fin 88 starts a new thread titled "Bungie is dead, it's time to close. Woke Studio and a bunch of thieves. Those are the so-called progressists. This is how they act. This is the BS you can find on their website. Since its founding in 1991, Bungie has cultivated a culture that is powered by shared purpose, strong teamwork, respect, and inclusivity. An atmosphere where teams are stronger than heroes, diversity is celebrated, and widening perspectives is an everyday goal. We believe that relentless improvement is a noble pursuit, that the player experience comes first, and that every decision, no matter the size, is always considered with players in mind." Yeah, about that last sentence, I don't know, Bungie. Destiny's monetization practices would like a word, sir. But they have no problems to steal other people's work. So much for the nice values. Yeah, that's just a sign they stick on the door and a poster they put up around the office. Doesn't actually mean anything. You don't actually have to follow any of that. When it comes to money, you don't got to do any of that. Well, here's how it works. These principles right here, they don't actually apply to the bottom line. The people that actually run the company don't have to follow this, but you, the lowly code writer or the lowly employee in the office that makes $60,000 to $80,000 a year, you have to follow these. Yes, you have to, but as soon as this starts to impact our bottom line now, we are gonna throw that right out the window. That's how that works. Rack writes, "Ever since Bungie left the Halo franchise to make garbage Destiny, it's only been a steep and embarrassing decline for them. Bungie died in 2010. You know, I'm a big 343 Industries critic. A tough pill I've had to swallow in the last couple years is that Halo would be no better in Bungie's hands than it was in 343 Industries' hands. It would have just died slower. As you look at the sad state of Destiny now, I don't know which is in a better spot, the Halo franchise or the Destiny franchise. And as much as I like dunking on 343 Industries or Halo Studios or whatever they call themselves now, it doesn't matter. It's the same people. I think Halo is in a better spot than Destiny, and that's a tough pill to swallow. I think Halo as a franchise is in a better spot than Destiny is. That's crazy to say out loud. D-Master 2 cites the guiding principles of Bungie, and he writes, "What a load of bull. Since its founding, they cultivated a culture of making good games. Only in the last 10 to 15 years, they got infected by the woke mind virus. This is the end result. Wokeness ruined everything." Kindred Spirit writes, "It's not really dead though. It's not really alive. Have you played Dead Space? Bungie has become a sort of corporate necromorph that shambles along to the directive of the political marker to become one giant blobby Akira mass that consumes a lot of people to push corpo slop. Weird. Weird is how it insists upon cutting off its own limbs in self-defeat like this, and repeatedly so. Did you see bro's face on stream? Dude realized he needed to send resume out now." Yeah, I actually kind of felt bad for that guy. That poor guy, like, yeah, it may have been slightly his responsibility, but it's not really, he's not the root of the problem. He's merely a symptom of the problem, like a chain along the way, and it's probably towards like the lower end. I don't know if I'm explaining this right. So like if you have an error like this, like there's an error chain that goes up to like the the executives. At a good company, the executives would take responsibility. But at a company like Bungie, what the executives do is they send out a sacrificial lamb, like this poor guy that had to go out on stream and be the face that took the accountability, it took all the flack for it, when maybe like it was only partially his fault. A good leader will seek out responsibility, but that's not what Bungie does. That's not what 343 Industries does. Okay, I'm getting off topic now, but do you guys remember 343 Industries before Halo Infinite released? They hired Joe Staten on to go be the sacrificial lamb, and they sold all of the goodwill that he had with the fans to deliver bad news. That's all they hired him to do. Everybody thought they were gonna hire Joe Staten to do writing or, I don't know, exploit his creative mind to make the game better. No, they just hired him on so that he would be the sacrificial lamb. The fans would not hate him as much if he was the one to deliver bad news because they all liked him so much before they fired him. Anyway, let's move on. Next thread. Howl starts a new thread titled "Launching a Week After Borderlands 4 Limfao." The game's nowhere near ready. Bungie is cooked if they think the release window is a good idea even remotely. Everything I have seen / heard, the game's undercooked and not ready. Not saying it can't and won't be great with time and love, but it's not ready right now and no way it will be by October. Well, it's actually releasing in September, I'm pretty sure. Wait, hang on, it's October. It's releasing September 23rd, I thought. Yeah, there it is, September 23rd. It's releasing even sooner than October, oh no. I would also like to note that this game has already been delayed. It was supposed to release last year, and they've already delayed it a year. And based on the alpha, yeah, it's probably not ready yet, but who cares? Next quarter's earnings is all we're worried about right now. Ziggs first reply writes, "If this game isn't delayed, I'll buy a physical copy of Concord on the used market." How much do those go for? Hang on, I need to know now. Hey, there it is. You can buy, so I just looked on eBay. You can buy a PS5 physical copy of Concord for $9. You can own a piece of history for $9. You can buy a sealed copy for $25. Now this belongs in a museum right here. And I mean that unironically. This belongs in a museum. DMaster2 writes, "This game would flop even if they released in a week with no other new title." Doom MD writes, "Do people still care about Borderlands?" The answer, Doom, is yes. People do still care about Borderlands. However, I do not think Borderlands 4 is going to be a good game. Hot take here, Doom MD. Borderlands 3 is a good game. Borderlands 3, however, is a good game that was ruined by millennial writing. I don't think Borderlands 4 is gonna be as good as Borderlands 3. I don't think they learned anything. Gearbox sucks, man. All these game companies just suck. Is there any like big name game company that doesn't suck? Because Gearbox used to be good. Gearbox was like Borderlands 1 and 2. I used to like Gearbox. I used to like Bungie, of course. I was a Halo fanboy. Still am a Halo fanboy. Are they just all dog water now? Anyway, it's all so tiresome. Paper Rival writes, "I don't think Borderlands is all that relevant anymore. 3 was not well received and 2 doesn't hold up very well. Still, I doubt it will help being close to any major release, even if no one really cares about Borderlands anymore." I think 2 holds up. I think 2 holds up pretty well. I recently played through the first like half of Borderlands 2 with a coworker. I think it holds up pretty well. Avdeal has my take. Both games gonna flop. Here we go. This has been too serious so far. Let's get to stuff like this. This is what I was looking for. Writer Pelash with a new thread titled "Stop with the Istophobia." Please stop with the Istophobia. It's not a good look for gamers and the Steam forums in general when people get triggered over the most trivial of things. There's nothing wrong with androgynous body types or the art style of the characters. Whining about it on the Steam forums is not a good look. Is this copy? I can't tell anymore. I've read so many of these that they all just start to blur together. I don't think this is copy pasta, but I'm getting some massive deja vu reading this out loud. Oh well, you got me, Writer Pelash. Enjoy your clowns, sir. First reply, Caesar with a President Trump emoji. G7 writes, "Concord is not a good look either." DMaster2 writes, "What's not a good look is the game failing to retain any player even in the free alpha test. Ooh, despite sending more and more invites. That is really bad." If that really happened, I'm not actually sure if that happened. I don't know. But if that's what happened, oh no, Bungie, no. Random Bot writes, "There aren't any trans characters in the game. Think you might be projecting a bit here." Gun Up writes, "Stop scaring istophobes. You wouldn't put a bunch of spiders into a room with a person suffering from arachnophobia." We'll say Andri writes, "Stop calling in istophobes. phobias. I'm not scared by a bunch of man in women's clothes. Goki writes, it's not istophobia, it's trans apathy. I don't care about your personal intimate opinion. Keep it to yourself. You want to be my friend? Let's be friends. The way you dress or put makeup on has nothing to do with it. Well, it has a little to do with it, actually. Also, what does this have to do with Marathon? Marathon? Who cares about Marathon? Lux writes, wait, was there ever istophobia ever for this game? Never heard of it. Now gotta join it. Less than 3. Hilly Mop writes, okay, my Lil Ponia, istophobia is magic. What? All right, this was fun until we started getting nested replies, and then we got, it's just pooflinging now in here. Star K 4398 writes, stealing art is an even worse look. Well, one opens you up to legal liability, and the other one will get you canceled by the heckin' virtuous hate mob on Twitter. So it's a rock and a hard place for Marathon. They just can't catch a break. Hugo writes, I'm not istophobic. I'm not afraid of trans. I'm afraid of attack helicopters though. The AH-64 Apache looks very scary. Helimop writes, how about a B2? Nokia Knockoff writes, calling the characters androgynous would be a compliment. These characters look like crash test dummies. Oh God, they do, don't they? Hang on. They do look like crash test dummies. Oh, let's find a good pause. Oh, no, I'm failing. There we go. Yeah, it's definitely a unique art style. I would argue that this art style could actually work. I like the cool colors, like the blues and the greens. Like that might be a hot take. I know everybody likes to hate on the art style here, but I think this could work. I know it's heckin' cool and base to hate on the art style, and maybe I got too much soy in my diet, but I don't know. I think the art style could work. If it was made by a developer I trust, I think the art style could work. And ultimately, again, that's what it comes down to. Nobody trusts Bungie, especially not Destiny players that have been playing the entire time, and specifically the last like 3 to 5 years. They do not trust Bungie, and so they see stuff like this, and Bungie's like, hey, I know it's kind of a weird art style. It's kind of like a new thing, and it's a new look. You're gonna have to trust us a little bit. And the players just say, no, I don't trust you. I'm not willing to extend to you the trust necessary for this game to work. Anyway, moving on. Ultra Shizman writes, you know, the funny thing is, as much as these people hate beautiful women in games and talk all this smack that somehow makes the game low quality, they're always quick to praise a game that has an exceptional level of blandness way before the game even comes out. Since these people like to be in a world devoid of pleasure, I suggest they move to North Korea. Okay, all right. Samson writes, istophobia isn't real. It's natural instinct to be terrified by the uncanny valley. Aeon Fox, familiar name, writes, no one talks about Concord more than the people who hated Concord, apparently. Well, that would be true, because only like 20 people liked Concord, and there were thousands, if not tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people who hated Concord. I myself am a proud hater of Concord without ever actually playing it. So yes, this would be literally true. You want to talk per capita? I'm sorry, but I don't understand per capita. Writer Palash is occasionally posting in his own thread, lol. All right, here we go. This is, I thought we'd be talking a lot more about this. This is the first one I found. It's by Yulia Savechia, #1 fan, titled Boycott the Game. Starts off with an X link. Let's click on this, and it takes us here from user N2 or Ntrial with numbers instead of letters. And here we go. Here's the proof. The Marathon Alpha released recently, and its environments are covered with assets lifted from poster designs I made in 2017. And here's the proof. Here's the source. Here's, well, everything you need to know. I'm sure you've all seen this by now. So yeah, there you go. There you go. There it is. Context. Bungie stole art and design concepts from the Twitter user Ntrial. They copied the work almost entirely, directly lifting pieces from artworks created 6 to 7 years ago and using them in their game. Even the fictional language made of special symbols, which was part of an ARG, was stolen. The artist wasn't paid a cent and was never contacted. This isn't even the first time the company has done something like this. I'd rather send my money directly to the creator, whose work was stolen, than to a game developer who thinks they can get away with anything. Well, again, this is not like the guy who they paraded out on stream who looked really sad during that Twitch stream. It might be partially his fault, but he's not fully respond. It's not like he's the guy who's like, let's steal this person's art. It's not what happened. My take is that this is a symptom of hiring bottom dollar contractors to do your work for you that you should be doing in-house. The way things should work is you have a development team of like 5 to 10 developers, and everything is done by those 5 to 10 people, but that's not how it works because that's too expensive. You want to hire full-time employees to your development studio. That requires full-time benefits, health insurance, retirement plans, etc. And well, we can't afford that because that eats into next quarter's profits. So no, that we can't do that. So instead what we're going to do is we're going to hire contractors that we don't hire as full-time employees to do all this work for us. And we're not going to pay them very much, and we're going to give them no benefits whatsoever. And what these people are going to do is they're then going to go and find the easiest inside track towards getting a minimum viable product that they can then deliver to somebody like Bungie so they can get paid. So what somebody did, one of these contractors, is they went to this person and they're like, oh, this looks like it would fit. And they just lifted it and then they sent it to Bungie and they're like, here you go, here's your artwork. They got paid. They don't care because they're not full-time employees of the studio. They're just looking for their next contract. And now Bungie takes all the blame. And maybe it's ironic to say that Bungie actually is at fault. It's not that artist guy's fault that looks super sad. It's the people that structure the company. Why are they hiring so many bottom dollar temps to do this work for them instead of full-time employees that they keep on staff and pay benefits for to actually make good stuff instead of this slop, this crap that these contractors give them? 343 Industries, part of the reason why Halo Infinite was such a disaster at launch and all the problems that it continues to be plagued with are a direct result of the contractor-focused development teams that they bring on to make these games. That's so obvious to me that that's the source of the problem. These indie development teams of like 3 dudes, 5 dudes, they don't have these problems. It's only these development studios, these megacorp development studios like Bungie, like Halo Studios, 343, whatever, all these like big name development studios, they hire these bottom dollar contractors, then they get flack for the low quality product, the minimum viable product that these contractors end up giving them. That's the real problem. But no, we're gonna wheel out this poor artist who's, you know, he probably thought this was his dream job when he got it. He's doing art for games that he was probably a Halo fan or a Destiny fan back in the day, and now they have to wheel him out so that he can take all the bullets. Braindead2323 writes, I can't help but wonder how much of your need to boycott the game is just wanting to ride the hate bus into Bungie's SmackDown land. Okay, couple things here, Braindead. One, I don't understand how Bungie, after everything that they have done, has any meat riders left. Bungie has done everything but explicitly say, we do not care about your experience. We do not care about if the game is good. We do not care about if the game is fun. The only thing we care about is the money in your wallet and how we can extract that money from your wallet and into our accounts. That's it. That's the only thing they care about. I don't understand how people still meat ride Bungie. I don't get it. The second thing I'd like to say to Braindead is that yes, I want to ride the hate bus into Bungie SmackDown land because again, like I said earlier, the entire structure of the company, how they develop a game is fundamentally flawed. It needs to change. If they ever want to make good games again, which is probably never going to happen, that needs to change. They need to have a small development team of full-time employees in-house doing everything if they ever want to make a good game again. Problem is that'll eat into the quarterly profits, so we can't do that. Let's just keep hiring temps, keep hiring contractors to make minimum viable products so we can keep shipping out this low quality garbage. So yes, I do want to ride the hate bus into Bungie SmackDown land. I want to ride the hate bus into SmackDown land for every single one of these corporate big name developers that churns out garbage year after year. Fenriff writes, from what I'm hearing, the art director and entire art team of Marathon all follow the real artist in question on Twitter. Yeah, I've heard this. I don't think that means much. These people all network with each other. They all follow each other if they're in the same, remotely the same circles. It really doesn't mean much to me. People are using this as a gotcha. At the risk of being accused of being a Bungie meat rider, this is kind of meaningless. I think if you're going to attack Bungie, I think if you're going to hate on Bungie, there are much stronger vectors of attack that you could use than that. I don't get why people think that's such a strong gotcha. It's really not. Xander writes, I don't boycott, I just don't pay for hearts. I'm just not gonna buy it is all. Pyromania starts a new thread titled Bungie is in damage control, and then they post a Forbes article. This is it, folks. Bungie is in serious damage control mode now and looking like a Concord 2 situation more and more with each passing day. I went to this article and literally 7/8 of my screen was just bombarded with ads. So more out. Morale is in free fall across all departments, and the vibes have never been worse. Everyone has the same concerns about what happens to Bungie as a studio if Marathon bombs, which is something they absolutely cannot afford. Yeah, it's gonna go poof, I think. There are not even hints or jokes about a delay from the September release date internally. With that said, it is entirely possible, if not likely, those conversations are happening privately between higher-up Sony and Bungie leadership. It's unclear what the plan is to launch a game in a now actively hostile environment just a few months from now, or how to turn that around. At the start of this month, Bungie pulled the plug on its main Marathon marketing plan, which was going to have a new trailer in June along with the launch of pre-orders. The whole campaign needs to be reworked now. Oh no. A heavily marketed public beta in August may be changed to a quote-unquote roadmap of public playtests with no actual details set yet. This would align with Bungie's stated multiple opportunities to play before launch rather than just the upcoming beta. Marathon was originally pitched by higher-up good old boy Bungie leadership, and as far back as 5 years ago, devs were telling them what would and wouldn't work, and were often ignored. Oh no! Oh no! Oh, that's rough, bro. This is how you run a business right here, actually. So if you're running a business, what you do is when your low-level employees come to you with feedback about how your business is going, how to succeed is you just ignore them entirely. You don't even consider that they're giving you extremely valuable information about your business that you can't see from where you're sitting, but they have to deal with it every day. Yes, very good, Bungie. This makes so much. This sentence right here is probably the most damning sentence of this video. Also, I'd like to address this this sentence right here, how to turn around this now actively hostile environment. This is what Bungie has done. Just keeping my ear to the ground because I kind of used to play a little bit of Destiny. Kind of just like to know what's going on in Bungie land, Destiny land. This is what they've been trying to do. It's how do we get back trust and then immediately turn that trust into our players giving us money? Like, how do we get trust from the player base so that we can spend the trust on money, thereby destroying the trust that we had built before? And it's this constant cycle of build trust any way we can and then destroy it and cash it in, and then try and build it back and then destroy it and cash it in. And eventually the players catch on. They're like, oh, you guys don't actually care. You're just trying to sucker me once again to then in the future give you money by saying, oh, you know, look, Bungie's changed now. It's like, no, they haven't. They just want your money. Just like any other megacorp slop developer, they want your money and they don't care about anything else. So how do we turn it around? Well, it may have worked once or twice, but now people ain't gonna fall for that again, especially not the people that you're marketing this game to, which is your hardcore Destiny players. They're not gonna fall for it again. At least the majority of them won't. Some of them will, but the majority of them won't. So how do we turn it around? The answer is you don't. Moray EO writes, I wonder how much of this purely comes from the plagiarism and how much of this would have likely still occurred if nobody pointed out the stolen art combined with the universally flaccid at best impressions people had at the trailer plus alpha. Yeah, I wouldn't say pretty much all of it, actually. I think the stolen artwork is just a very easy way to very succinctly paint Bungie as an untrustworthy villain. But if it wasn't the stolen art, it would have been something else. In my opinion, this would have all happened regardless. The stolen artwork is just a very easy way to paint Bungie as the bad guy that everybody immediately, intuitively understands. Because the other stuff like, oh, you know, they sold out our trust and you know, all this monetization practice with Destiny and things like, well, people paid for DLC in Destiny that they cannot access anymore because it's just not part of the game anymore. I mean, stuff like that, it takes a little bit of like, well, I don't know, kind of. People can kind of like dance around that and give Bungie the benefit of the doubt. Like, well, you don't really understand. Maybe it was this or, but if you say no, Bungie straight up carbon copy ripped off this artist and didn't pay them, that's a very succinct way that's very difficult to argue against Bungie being the bad guy. So that's why this is so in focus, is because it's so easy. But in my opinion, the other stuff that Bungie did is way worse than just stealing art from an artist. And I'm not trying to downplay that because it is scummy what they did, but objectively, the things that Bungie has done to the people that give them money, their player base, their fans, is objectively way worse than stealing art art from an artist. Hiragana, familiar name on these forums, writes, so far, based on the information that's available, even the art director and several other members of the Marathon's art team was following the artist's Twitter before Marathon even started. Leaving the one-to-one carbon copy aside, it's safe to say that the whole style surround 2025 Marathon is based on Anti-Real's artworks, both as concept art and many in-game decals, both. The artist deserved the salary of the current Marathon's art director for 6 years long. That's how much I think that was rob off the artist. Based on how the current art director of Marathon during the live stream shaking while trying to stay calm, reading his letter and trying to keep his cool during the whole stream. He definitely knows he's involved in this deep, and it's not a former employee thing. And it's funny how they are willing to go through paying outlets for damage control and paying salary for employees to scrub all of this off the game instead of paying the artist to obtain right to use their work. Hell, hire that person as a contractor if you like their art so much. It's not that they're in it deep, it's that the art director understands, maybe not consciously, but he understands subconsciously, that the plagiarizing the art problem that Bungie is currently dealing with is a symptom of a much larger, much more all-encompassing problem that he doesn't have a solution for. Because the problem, once again, is not that they plagiarize art, it's that the infrastructure, the entire structure of their development strategy is flawed. It's a house built on a flawed foundation. If you want to fix the house, you have to fix the foundation. And so there really is there's no real solution for this. The solution is Bungie dies, they go bankrupt, their studio closes down completely, and anybody who's talented at that studio goes on to start their own studio, and the cycle repeats. So this is just like late stage corporatism, and these bloated corporations are gonna have to die for the system to survive. And it sucks. Bungie was good once. Bungie made Halo. I love Halo, but it's not the same anymore. The Bungie of old is gone. For the internal employees' ideas being ignored, yep, as expected if you're a longtime Destiny 2 player. Their leadership has changed from we make the game we want to play to avoid over-delivering at all costs. As long as they receive their payroll, they will just play everything safe, ignore all feedback, even internal, scrub all complaints off, and continue milking. Did I even mention that one lawyer inside Bungo bragged online about how many diversity groups helped created inside Bungo? It's at least 5, by the way. I bet the company is pretty much a bloated bureaucratic mess like Ubisoft that take forever to do anything. Yep. Now, if you've never heard this over delivering at all costs line, I would encourage you to click the link in the description and watch the lecture that the Bungie executive gave about how they deal with Destiny in the modern era. It is horrific. It's like dystopian. It's like the gamers version of 1984, but a TED Talk. Kakihara, who was banned, starts a new thread titled, "Haters make me want to play it more. I voted Trump. I hate woke people. I'm sick of people crying and moaning about every f***ing game that gets released nowadays. Literally every game that comes out gets hated on for the most minute things. I don't give a single F about the plagiarism, and neither does anyone else unless you're woke, of course." Yep. Sounds good. Sounds good, buddy. Bensel Busher. I've been online too much. He writes, "People gave the devs crap for being woke. What are you talking about? Plagiarism is what's on top of that. Woke and thieves. Do you even know what you're talking about?" Well, okay, with a name like Bensel Busher, come on. Is this just a troll pretending to take the bait so that he can then troll the people who are like level 1 trolls? Like, is this a level 1 troll right here and he's just one layer deeper? Because the theory is that there's no legitimate people that actually go to these forums. It's just trolls posting stuff, and then trolls pretend to like bite down on the bait, and then it's just trolls trolling trolls. But it just like depends on how deep you want to go, you know? Like how many layers deep in the troll inception are you willing to go before it stops being fun? That's the theory. And so Bensel Busher, I don't know, man. G7 writes, "This type of person is why most game is so bad now. Look at how NPC think. If you don't see the problem, you are the problem." Benriff writes, "You are just a contrarian then? You don't actually believe in anything. You just go against the grain for the sake of it. You claim to hate woke people, but you will gladly play a woke game if enough people dislike it? Lol." Yeah, I don't really know. I'm definitely confused by this message, but sounds good to me. Peep writes, "Get that damn Ichi PFP off your profile. You bring shame to that masterpiece. Joseph starts a new thread titled Rename to Art Raiders. Should rename the game to Art Raiders is more fitting. Also, apparently there was gonna be a new hero or new character for Marathon that they were gonna announce, and it was supposed to be the Thief was gonna be the name. But I think they probably want to go ahead and delay that one or rename it or something. Seneki Beko writes, rename it to Tarkov 2 Electric Plagiarism. Pabsly writes, stealing art will make me God. Risotto starts a new thread titled, games like this are made just for Asmongold to farm content. At this point, they should just give him money directly. It would save them the embarrassment. Well, it's not just Asmongold that makes money off of games like this. I'm just throwing that out there. Did you know, fun fact, that yes, me personally, made more money off of Concord than Sony did? Think about that. Harley number 2 writes, he's going to make more money off his YouTube video than this game will make in sales 100%, and I'm all about it. Shaming needs to make a big comeback. We're all sick and tired of the mentally ill thinking it's okay to force their hearts' lifestyles on us. Anybody with a monetized social media account, if you made more than negative however many hundreds of millions of dollars that this game is going to lose, congratulations, you made more money than Bungie. Seneki Beko writes, the Bungie plagiarism situation is insane. Avdeal writes, even though he is basement dweller. Yep, Asmongold the basement dweller. How will he ever recover? Writer Palash, familiar name, posts the steak copy pasta and gets 13 clowns for it. Pomni starts a new thread titled diversity is not the problem, you are. Marathon is going to be game of the year and y'all are just mad it doesn't cater to your 2007 basement fantasies anymore. The second we get characters that aren't generic grizzled white dudes or overly sexualized space babes, the fake fans crawl out of their caves crying woke. Spoiler alert, representation does not equal agenda, and LGHD TV plus characters existing does not equal propaganda. It's 2025, catch up. The devs took risks. They tried to make something fresh, and instead of giving them credit, the loud minority would rather torpedo the game because it made them feel slightly uncomfortable that not everyone in the future looks like a Fortnite skin with cleavage. Bungie has always told deep stories. Marathon is no different. You just never cared about the story unless it was wrapped around a power fantasy and a pair of thighs. So yeah, cry more. The game isn't woke. It's visionary. The art style, fire. The world building, elite. The haters, embarrassing. Mark my words, this will be game of the year and all the this isn't my marathon bros will still be stuck in their Halo 3 nostalgia bubbles while we're out here playing a sci-fi masterpiece. Defend the devs, block the trolls, and stop calling diversity politics every time a game dares to show the future might include people who aren't just you. This is good. This is original. I don't think this is AI generated. The putting the not equals symbol, like the actual one character not equals symbol in one sentence and then building it with 3 characters in the next sentence is pretty good. I like that little detail right there. I don't think this is AI generated. I think this was legitimate. Good job, Pomni. You did it, bud. King Julian, first reply, writes, dog, the design's heart suck. Why do you need to write a full book? Go play Concord. Oh wait, writer Palash, a seasoned clown baiter in this board writes, this isn't even good clown bait. Well, say that to my 4 jesters, idiot. Al starts a new thread titled WTF were they thinking? This game looks actually horrible. Like seriously, who asked for this? This game legitimately has no target audience. The higher ups of these video game studios make me question their intelligence. They seriously have a huge problem understanding what works and what doesn't, as well as understanding what players want and don't want. Well, I think you could start by not telling people that the game isn't for them and don't buy it. You could start by abstaining from doing that. But Bungie already failed that. They straight up told people you shouldn't buy it. Hard Wenzen writes, when a developer is lost to greed, they can only develop something that has a chance of printing them money, and they don't even think they'll be able to execute said idea. All they see is money. If I were were a Bungie dev, I'd be searching for another job right about now. Within 2 weeks, the drop of players will be severe. It will not survive as a live service title. Seneki Beko, familiar name, writes, Durandal did nothing wrong. Blah01 starts a new thread titled, I hope you're all happy. Marathon is going to fail. And no, I'm not being dramatic. I'm being real. You clowned on this game since day one. You called it woke because what? The characters aren't wearing skin-tight suits and high heels and zero gravity? Because the cast isn't designed to appeal to your weird 2005 era FPS fantasies? People's jobs are at stake. Artists, writers, devs, real people who worked on this are going to suffer because y'all couldn't handle a sci-fi shooter that doesn't cater to 13-year-old boy energy. You say the game lacks soul? No, it just lacks cleavage, be honest. The hate this game gets isn't about gameplay. It's about misogyny and nostalgia blindness. Bungie dared to make something new and now all the comments are, not my Marathon, like it's a religion. I get it. You miss the old days, but maybe, just maybe, not everything has to look like it came out of a Mountain Dew commercial. Anyway, I hope you're proud. I hope you enjoy the headlines when the game gets shelved, and I hope you can live with the fact that hatred won this round. Oh god, that's pretty good. That's pretty, I like that one. Omni, familiar name, writes, I identify as non-binary. Hyromania writes, if such a thing exists as karma and divine retribution, Bungie will die after Marathon releases. It's so deserved at this point after the critical fumble that the entire Destiny series has been. Every bad mistake, every bad anti-consumer practice comes back to bite them in the ass and they die. That would be so funny. Also, yes, the game has no soul. It's a bad aesthetic, trying to imitate great anime like Gits, just westernized and stripped down to appeal to baby streamers and look good on YouTube thumbnails. Bungie's games aren't worth playing. Their only hope is a strong aesthetic to make people interested, and they are failing miserably. It's a trend-chasing live service shooter with no original ideas, other than mishmashing hero shooter and Tarkov with some of the most underwhelming kits LeMayo. There's nothing new here. A game like Death Stranding, yeah, that's a hill I would reasonably die on, calling it something new, but this, it's nothing. It's the people that made Halo so long ago trying to convince you they're still good. A trend-chasing, MTX-infested $40 game that will die as it should. Well, it's not the people that made Halo, Hyromania. It's a totally new studio. It's a totally different thing. The people that made Halo at Bungie are gone. They've been gone. There was a lot of drama around Founders stock and the people that made Halo and their exit from Bungie. A lot of them got fired right before they were vested in some retirement plan. It's really scummy. If you don't know about it, you should listen to Martin O'Donnell talk about his founder stock and how they tried to screw him and how they successfully screwed a lot of the original people that made Halo. It's not the same people. It's a totally different studio. It's a horde of corporate zombies skinwalking inside the skin of the people that made Halo. The name Bungie is still on the front door, but it's a totally different thing now. So no, you're wrong, Hyromania. You're right about everything else. I'm with you everything else, but it's not the people that made Halo. Writer Palash writes, sorry kid, I already got all the state clowns. And he did actually, he's telling the truth. Ultra Shizman writes, this isn't Marathon though. I was mad when they scrapped Prey 2 only to put out another game called Prey that had nothing to do with the story, and I'm mad at this for the same reason. Well, the difference is Prey 2017 was really good. I really liked that game. I don't think I'm gonna really like Marathon the same way. Death Star starts a new thread titled Concord 2 Incoming. This will be Bungie final coffin. Sony never learned their past mistake. Good. Romania writes, Sony got scammed buying Bungie. Now there's a take. I don't even think you're wrong, Hyromania. I think you might be right, actually. Marathon Team, a confirmed developer account, starts a new thread titled Greetings from the Marathon Team. We've spun up Marathon Team accounts across several platforms, including Twitter, Discord, Blue Sky, Reddit, and here on Steam. Oh no, they have a Blue Blue Sky account. God help us all. Writer Palash writes, add LGHD TV and trans pride skins to the game, please. Our Crank writes, add hetero pride skins to the game, please. Marvarine writes, spawn camping in Steam forums is a new one. No way this post is not filled with hate if you guys didn't kick everyone, lol. And they did. They have banned a ton of people. They have unpersoned and disappeared tons of threads in here. I'm only reading what's left because the first time I came here, like 2 days ago, there was just locked threads out the wazoo that were much newer and more recent than these ones, and they just don't exist anymore. They're just completely gone. Marathon Team is working overtime to ensure that no incorrect opinions are had by any of the people that might potentially buy their game. Your life is over replies to Marathon Team. I don't have enough points to give you a clown, sadly. Did anybody give them yep, 2 clowns. They got 2 clowns for that. SCZ Celestrian quotes the Blue Sky link. I will now assume that this is one of those games made by very talented people, which gets its price reduced by 10% for each month after release. I could follow up with a list of those specific games, but everyone knows that mass layoffs are on the horizon. Parts of the dev team should be used to this. Anyway, I'm very happy that I'm not owning any Sony stocks because Wii U, that's going to be brutal again. God, I hope so. I really enjoy dunking on these games. Spotted Hair writes, now you can ignore player feedback for 2 games rather than 1. Doc Botox writes, I don't want to be a pessimist, but there are too many Marathon-like free-to-play games on the market. I would release Marathon as a free-to-play title with a cosmetics in-game shop and everything is fine. That's my opinion. LRD replies to that. There is literally no game like Marathon on the market. That's why I am so hyped. There will always be people like this. I'm convinced. Like if you unironically believe this at this point, there's nothing anybody can say to change your mind. There's no amount of real world experience that will change your mind. You will always be like this. It's never gonna change. Strobe starts a new thread titled, if you're going to have zero integrity, Bungie, just use AI generated art already. Generate some multi-fingered slop, jumbled AI sentences and voices talking with a stroke. Dig that hole deeper since you seem to think there's gold down there. All right, well, I think this one's done. I think we milked it dry. Apologies, this was a little bit heavier than most of you are probably used to. I like to keep these nice and light, but I think that I was just a little bit too close to this one. As a former Bungie fanboy, you know, it really does make me sad to see what Bungie has become. I mean, they used to be great. Halo is like the old legacy Halo games. They still hold up. They're still awesome. And just to see what they've become, it just is really, it's really quite sad. And I don't know if there's anything left to salvage here. I think it might just be time for Bungie to die. And I think that might just be what's best for everybody. Something tells me that this is probably not going to be the end of the controversy for Bungie and Marathon. And I think we might be lining up for a fall season of just terrible releases once again. And I think Marathon might be leading the charge. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Hopefully you got a nice cheap laugh or two. Hopefully I made your commute to work a little bit easier, but that's going to do it. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.